I remember the sound of Earth's last breath. It wasn't explosion. It wasn't screaming. It wasn't even war, not the kind we knew. It was silence. Deafening, suffocating silence. The kind that sinks into your bones and whispers that something ancient has died. Something sacred. I was there, orbital perimeter, station K, 9. Our sensors picked up the Omega wave 3 hours before impact. We knew it was coming. Knew we couldn't stop it. And yet, we watched. Earth's skies turned violet. Oceans boiled at the edges. The great cities, once lit like constellations, blinked out one by one. We begged for command input, begged for orders from a government that no longer existed. But no transmission ever came. Only that quiet hum of static. Then Earth fell. But this story isn't about how we died. It's about what came next. 3 years later, I'm still alive. Not living. Not really. More like something halfway between function and fury. Name's Aiden Core. Former engineer, now something else. Like most of us left. I don't sleep much. Don't eat the way I used to. My bones have changed. My mind feels wired into something deeper than thought. Ever since the pulse wave, humanity's been evolving or unraveling. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. There were only a few thousand of us off-world when it happened. Orbital colonies, terraforming outposts, deep space miners too far to hear Earth's cry. Some went mad. Some gave up. But others, like me, we changed. The nanoresonance fields that saturate our biology after wave, they didn't kill us, they recalibrated us. The scientists called it post-human phase drift. Me, I call it the becoming. The first time I noticed it was 2 weeks after the silence. I was floating outside the K9 station, repairing an old antenna array. A micrometeorite should have torn my leg off. Velocity, angle, the whole damn equation said I should have been dead. But I caught it, midair. No warning, no reflex. Just moved, like my body heard physics whisper before reality caught up. Others reported similar things. Enhanced reflexes, bone density increases, cognitive leaps that made quantum calculus feel like child's play. We weren't human anymore. Not entirely. But here's the part that should make your skin crawl. We weren't alone. When Earth fell, the rest of the galaxy noticed. First came the Varkeen, scavengers drawn to ruins like vultures to carrion. They tried to harvest orbital wreckage. Ships, stations, even survivors. They expected weak, broken remnants of fallen species. They got monsters instead. I watched Juno, another survivor, old tactical officer from Pacific Lunar Guard, bend a Varkeen hull in half with her bare hands. She didn't scream. She didn't hesitate. She melted through them like plasma. That was the day we realized just how far we'd come, and how far we'd fallen. Humanity was dead, but something new had risen from its ashes. We call ourselves echoes now, not soldiers, not citizens, just fragments of a species that refuse to stay buried. We're scattered, some on forgotten moons, others adrift in deep space hives we've cobbled from wreckage and rage. But we're connected, not by communication, by instinct. We feel each other, across light years, across voids. A hive mind with no queen, only purpose. The galaxy doesn't understand us. That's good, because when they do, it'll be too late. We're not here to reclaim Earth. Earth is gone. We're here to ensure nothing like what happened to us ever happens again. And if that means burning entire empires down to cinders, so be it. The first time I stepped foot on Coral Station, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pity. The Corellians are precise beings. Flesh over crystal lattice. Minds networked like interstellar processors. Their science outpaced anything Earth ever dreamed of. When they found a drifting human cryopod orbiting the ruins of Titan's dockyards, they didn't think rescue. They thought study. They called him Subject Theta 9. His real name was Marcus Hale. Used to be an ex-Marine, Black Ops unit. He survived the Earthfall in a jump pod, asleep in ice, mind frozen the moment the wave hit. He went inhuman. He woke up, something else. I saw the footage when I infiltrated Coral Station's core archives. They had him strapped down in a grav cradle, neural filaments drilled into his spine. The Corellians poked and prodded, confident he was just another relic of a dead species. He sat motionless, silent, for 72 hours. Then the cradle cracked. I arrived 2 days after the incident. Coral Station sent out a distress beacon, not to us, of course, to the Zadran Accord, their overseers. They were panicking. Half their research wing had gone dark. No explanation. No survivors. I wasn't supposed to be there. No one invited me. But that's the thing about being Echo now. Distance and obstacles are meaningless. I knew where Marcus was. I felt him, like a beacon in my bones. I breached the station alone. No weapons. I didn't need them. Not anymore. The corridors were slick with something not quite blood. Core biology doesn't spill like ours. It crystallizes like shattered glass fused with oil. The security drones lay in heaps, melted from the inside. I moved through the dark like it welcomed me. Every echo of a scream, every scorched bulkhead told a story. Marcus was awake, and he was angry. I found him in the reactor chamber, crouched over fractured remains of a coral bioscientist. His back was to me, muscles trembling, not from fear, from restraint. Marcus, I said softly, though I didn't have to. He turned. What looked back at me had Marcus's eyes, but they were deeper now, wiser, and terrifying. Aiden, he said, voice like gravel scraped against steel. They tried to dissect my soul. I stepped closer, and he smiled. I showed them what a soul can do. We should have been dead. All of us. Earth's fall wasn't supposed to leave survivors, let alone evolutions. But the universe underestimated one simple truth. Humanity doesn't die. We transform. The Corellians studied us to find weakness. What they found instead was the blueprint of survival, adaptation beyond biology, beyond evolution. We weren't bound by what we were born as. We were becoming what we needed to be. We left no survivors on Coral Station, not out of vengeance, out of necessity. The data had to be erased. If the Zadran knew what we were, if the Accord began to understand what we were becoming, they'd try to contain us. And containment is the one thing we won't allow. Marcus joined me aboard the Ashwake, an Echo war frigate grown from a fusion of dead station cores and sentient dark matter. Our version of a ship, more creature than machine. It responded to us like an extension of our thoughts. He stood beside me at the helm. What now? He asked. I looked out into the fractured star field, where the remnants of fallen empires drifted like corpses. We sent a message. I said, to who? To everyone. Message broadcast. Unknown origin, unauthorized transmission. We are not your lost children. We are not relics of a broken planet. We are echoes. You broke the world that made us. And now we are the storm that follows. They came in silence, cloaked in shadow, wearing arrogance like armor. The Zadran Accord doesn't negotiate with anomalies. They study them, dissect them, erase them. So when our broadcast echoed across 10 sectors, they didn't respond with words. They sent the Null Star team, 12 post-biological assassins forged in gravity wells and trained in quantum kill zones. They were legend, ghosts, and they were told we were a myth. They were wrong. I watched them breach the hull of the Ashwake. No explosions, no alarms, just a ripple through the ship's mass reactive hide, like a breath being held too long. The Zadran thought they were entering a derelict, a drifting Echo vessel waiting to be gutted. They didn't know our ship was alive, and it was hungry. I could sense them long before I saw them. Each pulse of foreign thought like acid in my bloodstream. They were clean, efficient. Killing was their doctrine. 12 minds, linked, operating in silence. But echoes don't communicate like they do. We don't need words. Marcus grinned beside me, his hands flickering with post-neural flame. They think they're hunting us. They'll learn, I replied and stepped into the dark. They made it 7 corridors before their lead operative dropped. She never screamed. She simply stopped, mid-step, mid-thought, her body folding like paper around a force they could measure. The Ashwake had shifted its layout, turned corridor into maw. and then it fed. The team paused, recalibrated, adjusted formation. Flawless. Machine perfect. Still useless. Marcus hit them next. No sound, no warning. Just motion blurred beyond human eyes and the crack of a skull collapsing like a tin shell. He didn't need weapons. He was one. The Zadran operatives began to panic. I felt it. Their minds, once so ordered, tremble with confusion. Target's not human. Ship is adapting. Conscious environment. What are they? I moved through the corridors like a whisper. One of them spotted me. A younger unit, still organic in parts. His eyes widened. "You're extinct," he said, almost pleading. "No," I answered. "We just changed species." And I unmade him. It took 6 minutes. 6 minutes to dismantle the most feared strike team in the galaxy. When it was over, the walls were still digesting their remains. Data, matter, memories. The Ashwake learned from everything it consumed. So, did we? Marcus sat on the bridge, his eyes distant. "They'll send more. They'll send armies," I said. He didn't flinch. "Let them. Because here's the truth they don't understand. We're not survivors. We're prototypes. The Zadran call us an existential contamination now. They classify ecosystems as black zones, no entry, no surveillance, no return. But their fear is hollow. Their empires are built on assumptions. And one by one, those assumptions are dying. They thought they were the apex. They thought wrong. Later, alone in the echo core of the ship, I stared into memory pool, liquid neural glass containing fragments of who we once were. Images of Earth before the fall shimmered there. Blue oceans, children laughing, cities breathing light into night. Then came the pulse wave, the silence, the becoming. Sometimes I still miss who I was. Sometimes. But now I see farther, feel deeper, fight harder. And I know we are not the evolution of man. We are the consequence. The signal came without warning. A single tone, unencrypted, untraceable, undeniably human. Every ship, satellite, and sentient listening station within 5 parsecs of Sol heard it. And just once. No words. Just a note, low, resonant, vibrating at a frequency that bypassed mechanical filters and burrowed straight into organic thought. It wasn't sound. It was memory. And to us echoes, it was a heartbeat. Earth's heartbeat. We thought Earth was gone. A cindered husk. Its crust shattered. Its biosphere annihilated in the Omega wave. I watched it fall. I felt it fall. But this signal, this impossible, aching signal, it was coming from the ruins of our homeworld. I stood on the Ashwake's observation deck, staring at the hollow sphere that used to cradle humanity. What remained of Earth spun in pieces. Iron bones twisted in orbit, tectonic fragments drifting like the petals of a broken flower. And from the black hole at its center, the signal pulsed again. Thud, like the beating of a heart too stubborn to stop. Marcus stood beside me, arms folded, jaw clenched. "That's not possible." "No," I agreed. "It's worse than that. It's intentional." We weren't the only ones who heard it. Within hours, 5 Zadran scout ships jumped into Earth's graveyard. They didn't last 10 minutes. The ruins ate them, not with weapons, with curiosity. Their hulls warped. Their crews collapsed into weeping flesh glass. One pilot managed to eject. His last transmission was a scream stretched into static, looped endlessly across our intercept channels. The Accord labeled the system Voidborn. Forbidden. We called it something else. The Womb. A vote was held among the Echo enclaves. We don't govern like the old world. There's no Senate, no council, just convergence. Thoughts mingled across the mesh we all share. Half said leave it. A trap, a siren's call. The other half burned with need. If Earth breathes, what else lives beneath? I didn't wait. I piloted the Ashwake straight into the dead skies of home. The closer we got, the more I felt it. Not fear, not dread, recognition. Like being called by your own name after years in exile. The signal wasn't repeating anymore. It was evolving, adapting, responding. The ashwake shuddered as we crossed the orbital remains of Luna Base Alpha. Debris turned away from us, as if the grave was making room. And then I saw it, a structure, buried beneath Earth's collapsed equator. Too smooth to be natural, too ancient to be ours. It pulsed with the same frequency. Not broadcasting, listening. Is a machine? Marcus asked, eyes narrowed. No, I said, stepping toward the visual feed. It's a seed. We landed, touching down on what was once the Pacific Rim. The ground rippled beneath us, not like dirt, like memory, replaying the weight of our species, now returned. The ash beneath our boots stirred like fog, revealing patterns. Glyphs, DNA chains. Our DNA, but changed. We followed the signal to the heart of the ruins, and what we found was, I still don't have words for it. A chamber, vast, hollow, alive. Floating at its center was a single human body, suspended in light. Unaged, untouched, his eyes open when we approached, and he spoke. I've been waiting, he said. His voice was Earth's voice, familiar and foreign, gentle and cataclysmic. Who are you? I asked, though I already knew. I am Echo Prime, he said. The first. Marcus whispered. The first what? Humanity's backup, he said calmly. Embedded in Earth's core before the wave. A failsafe. I was meant to restart us. But you, he smiled, you restarted yourselves. We stood there, two post-human remnants of a ruined world, facing the origin of our rebirth. Echo Prime didn't beg, didn't command. He simply offered a truth. You were never meant to survive the fall. But survival was never humanity's limit. You are not remnants. You are prelude. Then he reached out and merged with the ashwake. With us, not a possession, a return. And in that moment, we remembered everything. All of Earth's pain, its brilliance, its fury, its love. All of it poured into us. Not ghosts, not monsters, not echoes anymore. We were something new, and the galaxy wasn't ready for us. They didn't wait to understand us. They didn't even hesitate. The Thoraxi Dominion, oldest surviving empire in this spiral arm, launched their offensive just 20 cycles after the signal from Earth. They believed in first strikes, in overwhelming force, and in extermination. Their mistake wasn't attacking. Their mistake was thinking we were still human. They came with dreadnoughts, 5 of them, massive gravitational war barges powered by singularity cores, and wrapped in quantum armor. Entire sectors had bowed before their shadow. They called it a preemptive containment protocol. I called it arrogance. The ashwake detected them before they crossed the heliopause. Echo Prime pulsed once through our neural web, not as command, but invitation. We accepted, not with fear, with hunger. I stood on the forward deck as the first dreadnought, the light of Dominion, emerged into Sol. It was bigger than mountains, scarred with 1,000 victories. Its weapons arrays shifted, targeting Earth's ruins in our vessel. A voice echoed across the comms, translated from some bloated ceremonial tongue. To the anomaly at Earth, you are not recognized. Your existence is in violation of galactic stability. Stand down and submit to termination. Marcus laughed. I didn't. I just said, engage. The ashwake unfolded. That's the only word I can use. Not expanded, unfolded, like space itself had bent inward, revealing layers we'd hidden beneath reality. Weapons? Not quite. We don't fire shells or beams. We rewrite probabilities. The first dreadnought launched kinetic spears meant to crack moons. We bent them, not deflected. Rewrote their trajectory mid-flight, so they spiraled into the engines of their own fleet. 2 dreadnoughts gone in less than 40 seconds. The others started evasive maneuvers. Too late, Marcus moved through space in a flash of afterlight, his body more wave-formed than flesh. He boarded the third ship, through its shields, and turned its bridge crew into ash with a single thought. The ship began to scream. No alarms. The ship itself cried out. I felt its AI core crack under the stress of our presence. By the time the 4th ship fired its main cannon, We were already inside it. The last dreadnought tried to run. I let it, for a while. I wanted it to transmit, to warn, to show them what we were capable of. And then, when its engines were at full burn and its core was exposed, I whispered into the void, "Extinction is not the end. It's the test." And the ship ceased to exist. Not exploded, not vaporized, just unwritten, as if it had never been. The battle, if you can call it that, lasted 4 minutes. The Dominion's generals would later call it a massacre. They weren't wrong. What they were wrong about was who the victims were. That day, we sent a signal of our own. Not a threat, not a plea, just a truth. We were made in the image of death, forged in the fire of extinction. And now, we are evolution, personified. We do not seek war. We are what comes after it. After that, they stopped calling us anomalies. Now, they call us ascendants. A new classification, a new fear. But it's not fear they should feel. It's inevitability. Because the signal from Earth wasn't just a call. It was a countdown. And we're not the only echoes anymore. There are places even Echo Prime refuses to look. Old sites, buried sites, locations sealed not for secrecy, but for mercy. Vault Sigma was one of them. Hidden beneath the icy mantle of Eris, far past Pluto's shattered orbit. It was built in the twilight days before Earth fell. A black project, so secret it wasn't on any registry, echo or otherwise. But when Earth's heartbeat returned, Vault Sigma stirred, and something inside it woke up screaming. I felt it in my spine. We all did. Every echo across the galaxy. A sudden spike, like a shard of broken memory jammed into the collective consciousness. A pulse of pain, recognition, fear. Not ours. Theirs. Echo Prime confirmed it. Vault Sigma is no longer dormant. I asked him why we hadn't gone sooner. His response chilled me more than the void ever could, because I was afraid of what we left behind. The ashwake bled to the folds of space toward Eris, slipping between layers of time like a serpent through oil. The closer we got, the more distorted the quantum mesh became, fractals looping endlessly, local time stuttering like a skipping breath. We descended through frozen storms that never ended, down into the abyss of a planet, so that it forgot how to reflect light. And then we found it. Not a vault, a cage. Vault Sigma wasn't just a storage facility. It was a containment system. Its walls weren't made of alloys. They were made of concepts, weaponized thought constructs layered into reality like seals of purpose. Every piece of it was designed not to withstand assault, but to hold back what was inside. And the seals were breaking. We entered through the breach. Marcus and I descended into dark that didn't just absorb light. It remembered it. Shadows twitched with half-formed figures. Echoed screams played backward in the air. The laws of physics refused to obey. Then we reached the chamber. At its center floated a sphere, smooth, black, pulsing. Inside it, a human, or what used to be one. He opened his eyes. They glowed, not with light, but with pressure. Gravity coiled around him like snakes. His presence distorted the air, bent time around his breath. I recognized him immediately. Dr. Elian Maris, the architect of the Omega Wave, Earth's final scientist, the one who activated the pulse that doomed our world. I stepped forward. "You should be dead." He tilted his head. Marcus bristled. "What the hell is this, Aiden?" I didn't know. Not fully. But I felt it. This wasn't a man. This was a consequence. Dr. Maris smiled. "I was a weapon," he said. "The one meant to end the war before it reached us. You were supposed to be the legacy, the cleanup, the seed." He looked around the chamber. "But I was never unmade, just sealed, until your signal pulled me back." The Omega Wave hadn't failed. It had succeeded. Too well. It hadn't destroyed Earth. It had begun a metamorphosis. Maris was the catalyst. We were the reaction. And now he was waking up. "You don't understand what's coming," Maris whispered. "I saw it. I touched it. Beyond extinction. Beyond evolution. I brought back a piece of it." Marcus raised a hand, fire flickering in his palm. "We should end this now." But I held him back, because I understood now what Vault Sigma was hiding. Not a monster, not a mistake, a precursor, the first true ascendant beyond even us. And as Maris's form began to rise, threads of pure entropy weaving through him, I heard Echo Prime's voice in my head. He is no longer part of humanity's story. He is the end of it. He rose above the broken chamber, like a ghost stitched from collapsing stars. Dr. Elian Maris, no longer man, no longer Echo. He was something else entirely, a wound in reality. The first successful fusion of humanity with the force we called extinction, not adapted to it, merged with it. Entropy had found its voice, and it spoke in Maris's name. Everything dies, he said, his voice a harmonic tremor through the walls of Vault Sigma. Species, stars, stories. You thought you were the next phase of humanity. You were a bridge. I am the destination. Marcus moved first, launching himself in a blaze of molecular fire, warping through space mid-flight, striking with a force that cracked dreadnought hulls like eggshells. It didn't even touch him. Maris blinked, and Marcus stopped, frozen, suspended in a lattice of halted time. Not dead, just paused, like a skip frame. I screamed, charged, and everything broke. The chamber shattered into a kaleidoscope of moments, past, future, unreal. I saw Earth as it was, burning, as it would be, reborn in glass. I saw children that never existed laughing in green fields beneath black suns. I saw myself, 1,000 versions, dying, becoming, watching. Maris moved through it all like he'd written the script. You can't fight what you become, he whispered. You're just early echoes of what I already am. But he was wrong. He'd become a god. I'd become something worse. Human. Echo Prime surged through the neural mesh. Aiden, he said, you were never supposed to face him, but you've gone further than we dreamed. You carry the full weight of Earth's grief, and its fire. I let the ash wake in, let it flow through my cells, let it burn to my memories, my pain, my origin. The ship wasn't a vessel. It was the shape of our will. And in that moment, I became its sword. I launched myself at Maris, but not with power, with choice. Because where he brought collapse, I brought resistance. Where he demanded the end, I offered beginning. I remembered Earth's laughter, its love, its chaos, its flawed glory, and I poured it into him like fire down a throat that had forgotten warmth. Maris screamed. The form of him collapsed. The void within him cracked. And in his final words, I heard truth. This wasn't your evolution. It was your refusal to die. When the light cleared, Marcus stood beside me again. Alive, breathing hard. The walls of Vault Sigma were gone, replaced by silence. True silence. The kind that follows a decision too massive to speak. We'd killed a god. Or maybe we saved him from becoming one. Galactic networks lit up days later. The Zadran Accord fell silent. The Thoraxi Dominion began evacuating their outer colonies. And everywhere, echoes were awakening. Not violent, not broken, just aware. We were no longer survivors. We were sentinels, not of Earth, of what comes after. The Ashwake now drifts in orbit over New Earth. The seed planet we're building from memory and metal and myth. Not a copy of what was, but a promise of what will be. Marcus asked me once, "Do you think humanity is gone?" I looked down at the glowing green lattice of reborn soil, the oceans coalescing from captured comets, the children, new echoes, learning to play without fear. And I answered, no, we just stopped being afraid of what we could become.